Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital and welcome to your morning update on Bitcoin. I'm going to try to tell you everything you need to know about Bitcoin today and also a little bit about the general crypto markets in as little time as possible. So let's get right into it. Bitcoin yesterday has seen some nice bullish momentum. We had a pullback initially as expected. I would have perhaps expected a little bit of a deeper pullback. I mean, we pulled back into 85,200. Essentially filling most of the fair value, most of the CME gap we left. It's still down to this level right here at 84,600 technically. However, CME gaps do not have to get filled completely. Like filling it partially, very much the same as with fair value gaps, sometimes is already enough. And since then we saw some nice bullish momentum right here. I'm not certain if I would call it momentum. It is more also if you look at the 12-hour time frame. Like we got one of these momentum initiative candles, which is my personal indicator. But it's red, all right? And what that means is that it's a lot of shorts closing. Okay, and that's also what is reflected in the open interest. The open interest is actually falling quite aggressively right here, with the price moving up. So that means that shorts that were opened earlier in the last couple of weeks are closing out. But I've yet to see more real buying coming in, right? I mean, there's some leverage came in right here the 21st of November, and that's also what you can see right here. So that's pretty good. That leverage is now being rewarded. But ultimately, if we want to get a structure break, and a structure break for Bitcoin would be a break above 89,000, we need to see real bidding, real buying momentum coming in as well. And I think it's a little bit too early to say that. I mean, when we talk about the Coinbase Bitcoin premium or discount, at this point of time, that is still on a discount. If that gets into a premium, that could be a little bit of an indication that we are, that it's more likely that we're going to get a structure break. Although I must also say that a lot of the selling that has been going on in the last week has come from Binance. So obviously, if there's outsized selling coming from Binance, you're going to get a Coinbase Bitcoin premium as well, right? Just for the just because of the price on Binance being so much lower, that it kind of pushes the price on Coinbase into a premium. So it depends on circumstances, but ultimately this is good development. When we're talking about the ETFs, what you can see is that yesterday we actually had outflows. Now the flows were minimal. Okay, I mean you can see that the institutional, or at least the ETF market for Bitcoin is still a little bit down. I mean, these numbers are very little if you compare that to the numbers we had on Friday, but also last week. So outflows, but minimal. So that's also decreasing. So ultimately, I'm fairly. And then when we're talking about the fundamentals, before I forget, I mean, I have to talk about fundamentals, of course. Before I forget, I mean, the fundamentals have moved into the right direction as well. Volatility index has opened at the same levels as yesterday, but it has decreased quite significantly since Friday. Equities are recovering right here, which is good to see. And we've also had some general, positive fundamental developments, such as the probability that we're going to get a rate cut behind all of those technical moves, right? So ultimately, I'm quite certain when we really zoom into Bitcoin right here, I'm quite certain that we'll be able to find a bottom. I do think we have found a bottom right here at 81,000, at least a local one. But I don't see enough strength, and I also don't see enough reasons fundamentally to expect a reclaim above 90 and 89,000. I think that's a little bit too much to ask. Tuesday is also historically quite a bearish day for Bitcoin if you look at the last 3 months, if you look at the last month. So therefore, I would say short term, it's a little bit more likely that, we've seen positive developments, but I'd say it's a little bit more likely that we will remain stable. Right now, you can also see that we're trying to fall back into the value area high of the value yesterday, which is sitting around 87,600. Falling back into that, which seems to be confirmed right now, is also a confirmation that we're going to shift back into balance right here. So I would say shifting back into balance, which ultimately is around 86,000. For now is most likely, and that can come with some sort of a spike down into 84,000 to grab those imbalances we have down there. But ultimately after that, I do think we'll be able to test 89 and 90,000, right? So ultimately, I have a slight, my bias and what I would expect is balance, stability. But from that stability, I'm fairly certain that this is a local bottom, or at least that's my bias right now, and that we're going to test those levels at 89 and 90,000. And then it will most likely depend on the fundamentals, which I'll keep you updated on, whether we are going to be able to reclaim 90,000. Reclaiming 90,000, reclaiming 89,000, that is ultimately the main thing we want to do. Then we have a positive structure shift, and then we can start talking about 95, 96,000. But that's at this point of time, that's much too early. So I'll keep you updated on that, but that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Take care and bye.